Welcome back to Talk Tickers, the show where we, dive deep into those earnings calls and try to really suss out what's going on. Today, we're taking a look at Skechers Q4 2024. And let me tell you, this one's a doozy.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, we got record sales, new sports ventures, even, get this, a Super Bowl ad with Andy Reid.
Wow, Andy Reid.
I know, right? So obviously, Skechers is doing something right.
Yeah, they are definitely doing something right.
So let's get into it. Find out what's driving this incredible momentum.
Okay, so Skechers had another fantastic year. They wrapped up 2024 with a strong fourth quarter. Their full year sales topped $9 billion.
That's billion with a B.
Yes, billion with a B. That's a 13% jump.
Wow.
Yeah, and diluted earnings per share, that hit $4.40, a 26% increase year over year.
Okay, those are some serious gains, especially when you consider all the stuff going on in the world. I mean, the Red Sea crisis, the economic slowdown in China. It's a tough environment out there.
Totally, it really is. But Skechers seems to be navigating it really well.
So what's their secret? What's making them so successful?
Well, a big part of it is their focus on comfortable footwear technology. I mean, their Skechers hands-free slip-ins and the Arch Fit line, those have been huge hits for them.
Yeah, I've heard good things about those.
It's not just a trend for them, though. Comfort, it's woven into their brand DNA. It's core to who they are. But here's the thing. They're not just sticking to everyday shoes,
Oh, really? What else are they doing?
They're making a big push into performance categories, things like pickleball, basketball, soccer, even cricket in India.
Cricket in India, huh? That's interesting. Okay, so they're going head-to-head with the big guys then. I mean, Nike, Adidas, those kinds of companies.
Yeah, they're not shying away from the challenge at all. They've signed some big-name athletes to really give them some credibility. NBA star Joel Embiid, for example. And some Premier League players, too.
Okay, so they're basically showing everyone they're serious about performance. It's not just about comfort anymore.
Exactly. They're saying, hey, we can do both.
Clever. Speaking of being clever, I've noticed that they're really pushing their direct-to-consumer business. New stores popping up all over the place, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and a big focus on interactive in-store experiences. They even opened their first interactive performance store in Canada. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that.
It's really interesting. They're really trying to control the whole brand experience, foster deeper relationships with customers,
So they're not relying on, department stores and stuff as much anymore.
Right, exactly. It's a big shift. And, they can gather a lot of valuable data that way, too. This could be a game changer for the whole retail industry. Who knows, maybe?
Yeah, it's definitely something to watch. Speaking of things to watch, those new U.S. tariffs on goods from China, that's got to be a concern for Skechers, right? I mean, they manufacture a lot of their stuff there, don't they?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge for them. But they've got a plan. They're looking at diversifying their production, for one thing, moving some of it to other countries.
Makes sense. Anything else?
Yeah, they're also in talks with their vendors to see if they can absorb some of the cost increases.
Okay, so trying to negotiate their way out of it a little bit.
Basically. And they haven't ruled out potential price adjustments either, so, we might see some slightly higher prices on Skechers shoes.
Trying to soften the blow for consumers as much as possible, though, it sounds like.
Exactly. But how it will actually play out, I mean, who knows? It's still too early to tell, really. But at least they are being proactive about it.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into the numbers then, shall we? They hit record sales in Q4, right?
Yeah, $2.21 billion. That's a 13% increase year over year.
Wow.
And it was a win across the board, too. Domestic sales, those were up 18%. And international sales, up 10%.
So good news all around, basically.
Pretty much. Their regional performance in the Americas was especially strong, a 14% increase there.
14%. That's pretty good. But wait a minute, wasn't their growth in EMA even higher than that? I feel like I saw something about that.
Oh, yeah. EMEA that was really impressive. A 25% jump. Almost every market in that region, they were killing it.
Wow, 25%. That's huge. But I thought the global economy wasn't doing so hot, with all the, the stuff we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, you're right. The global economic slowdown, that's definitely a factor. And we're seeing the impact of that in China, for example.
So their APAC results weren't so great.
Yeah, they took a hit there. But even within APAC, Skechers is finding pockets of success.
Oh, really? Like where?
Well, India, for example. They're doing really well in India. And Japan, South Korea, and Thailand, they all saw double-digit growth.
So even in a tough region, they're finding ways to make it work.
Exactly.
Okay, so We talked about overall sales, but what about different sales channels?
Okay, so their wholesale channel, that saw a 17% boost.
17%.
Yeah, and that was largely driven by a, get this, 31% surge in domestic sales. International wholesale also saw a decent increase, 10%.
So that domestic demand, that's really helping them out.
Yeah, those comfort technology products are really resonating with people here in the US. Now, direct to consumer, that also saw a nice bump, 8.4% increase there.
So those new interactive stores, they're starting to pay off then.
Looks like it. Their international DTC sales improved by 9.3% and domestically 6.8%. So those investments in the in-store experience, yeah, they're paying off.
I've got to say, though, that Super Bowl ad with Andy Reid, I bet that gave them a nice little boost, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Hard to quantify the impact of something like that, but it definitely got people talking.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But even with all this positive news, we can't forget about those tariffs looming over everything. That's got to be a major factor in their 2025 outlook.
Yeah, it's a big question mark.
So, all right, let's talk about tariffs. What exactly is Skechers doing to deal with them?
Well, they're tackling this from a few angles.
Okay.
Production reallocation is definitely on the table, like shifting some manufacturing to other countries,
Right, so diversify a little bit.
Exactly. And they're in heavy negotiations with vendors, too, trying to absorb those cost increases as much as possible.
So they're trying to work out deals?
Yep. And they haven't ruled out price adjustments either. So, yeah, some prices might go up.
Yeah, that's a tough one, though.
Right.
I mean, you don't want to make your products too expensive.
Yeah, it's a balancing act for sure. You don't want to scare off customers with price hikes.
Right. But you got to
Oh,
protect your margins, too.
exactly. And the situation is fluid.
Yeah,
We'll have to see how it shakes out, but at least they're being proactive about it, which is good.
absolutely. So even with all this tariff uncertainty, they're still making some big investments, right? Like those massive distribution centers they're building.
Oh, yeah, those are huge. The US, Europe, China, they're going big.
So what's the thinking behind that kind of investment?
It's all about efficiency and scalability.
Okay.
They're basically gearing up for the future, right? Making sure they can handle the increased demand they're expecting as they grow.
So they're betting on themselves, basically.
Yeah, it's a long-term play showing they have confidence in their future.
That's a good sign, I think.
Yeah.
So let's dive a little deeper into their direct-to-consumer strategy, shall we?
Yeah.
You mentioned that interactive performance store in Canada, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a cool one.
So what's the big idea there? What are they trying to do?
It's about creating an experience, like
Right.
really immersing customers in the brand.
Okay.
Personalized fittings, product demos. They even have VR experiences where you can see the tech behind the shoes. It's pretty wild.
Wow. So it's not just about buying a pair of shoes anymore.
No, it's about connecting with the brand on a whole other level.
Smart. And I bet they're gathering tons of data from all those interactions, right?
Oh, tons.
Yeah.
They can use that to personalize marketing, refine their products, really tailor the whole customer experience. It's pretty brilliant.
It's like they're building their own little world. Yeah.
Exactly. And it gives them such an advantage over traditional retail. They own the customer relationship from beginning to end, so they can control the whole narrative and build stronger loyalty.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's not like they're completely abandoning wholesale, right?
No, absolutely not.
Huh.
Those brand takeovers they talked about in the earnings call, those are interesting.
What are those?
Imagine walking into a department store and bam, a whole section is completely transformed into a Skechers experience.
Oh, wow. So they're taking over a big chunk of the store.
Yeah, it's about making a statement, grabbing attention, really showcasing the brand in a way they couldn't with a regular display.
Like a shop within a shop.
Yeah, exactly. It's a clever way to stand out from the competition. Speaking of competition, let's talk about their push into performance footwear, shall we?
All right, let's do it. They're going up against some serious players there.
They are. But I think they're smart about it. They're not trying to be Nike or Adidas.
Yeah.
They're playing to their strengths,
Which is?
comfort. Athletes are starting to realize that they don't have to sacrifice comfort for performance. And Skechers, they're all over that.
So they're the comfortable alternative.
Exactly. And their athlete endorsements, those really back that up.
Yeah, you've got guys like Embiid wearing their shoes.
Right. It sends a clear message. Skechers is serious about performance, but on their own terms, with their own focus on comfort and innovation, and that sets them apart.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the U.S., but what about their global expansion? EMEA, that was a big winner for them, right? 25% growth. I mean, come on.
Yeah, they're crushing it over there.
What's driving that success?
Well, a few things. Their comfort technology. It's a hit all over Europe, the Middle East, Africa. They've also been really strategic about their marketing and distribution in those regions.
Okay.
And their product portfolio, it's so diverse, They've got something for everyone, from lifestyle sneakers to performance shoes to sandals and boots. It's a wide appeal.
Smart. So they're tailoring their approach to each region, basically.
Exactly. But then you've got China, right? The slowdown there, that's a bit of a headache.
Yeah, what's their strategy for dealing with that?
Well, they're being proactive about it, managing their inventory carefully, adjusting their marketing to fit local preferences. And they're even developing products specifically for the Chinese market.
So they're doubling down, basically.
Yeah, they see the long-term potential there, and they're not backing down. It shows they're adaptable, willing to adjust.
All right, that's good to hear. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about their marketing. That Super Bowl ad with Andy Reid, that was brilliant.
Oh, totally. Unexpected, funny. It definitely got people's attention.
But what about their overall marketing strategy? How would you describe it?
Well, I think they're striking a balance, between their core identity, which is all about comfort, style, and value, and this new push into performance.
So they're not abandoning what got them here.
Exactly. They're evolving, trying to reach new audiences.
Their choice of brand ambassadors is interesting, right?
Yeah, you've got athletes like Embiid, but then you've also got Martha Stewart. It's a pretty wide range.
It's like they're saying, hey, if you like comfort and style, come on in. We've got something for you.
Yeah, and their campaigns are clever, engaging, memorable. They're not afraid to have fun with it, Inject some personality.
And it's working. Their brand awareness is high, their customers are loyal, and they've built a solid reputation for comfort and quality.
Definitely. So speaking of comfort and quality, let's talk product innovation, shall we?
Okay, their comfort technologies, those are definitely a big selling point.
Huge. But they're not resting on their laurels, They're constantly pushing the boundaries, experimenting with new materials, designs, always trying to make their shoes even more comfortable and high-performing.
The Skechers hands-free slip-ins, those are a good example, right?
Oh, yeah. They took a simple concept, a slip-on shoe, and made it even easier and more comfortable to wear.
With the little things.
And their Arch Fit technology, that's another game changer.
Okay.
Biomechanics, data-driven design, they're creating shoes that provide customized support and comfort.
So it's not just marketing hype. There's real science behind it.
Exactly. They're using technology to solve real problems for people. So zooming out a bit, what do you see as Skechers' biggest strengths, their biggest opportunities going forward?
Well, I'd say their adaptability is a huge strength.
Oh, absolutely. They've shown they can roll with the punches, whether it's a pandemic, supply chain issues, or changing consumer tastes.
They don't get stuck in their ways.
Nope. And their global reach, that's another major asset. They're not just a U.S. brand anymore. They're a global powerhouse.
And they're still expanding into new markets. Right?
All the time. Plus, their product portfolio is so diverse, they've got something for everyone. And they're committed to innovation, which means they'll keep developing new products that meet those evolving needs.
So they're covering all their bases.
Pretty much. And their brand identity is so strong, that's invaluable.
Yeah, people know what Skechers stands for. Comfort, style, value.
Exactly. And their marketing does a great job of reinforcing that message. They connect with people on an emotional level, tell relatable stories.
They're not just selling shoes, they're selling a feeling.
Exactly. But hey, let's be realistic here. There are challenges too.
Okay, like what? We talked about the tariffs, the slowdown in China.
Right, those are biggies. But competition is always a factor in this industry, right?
Oh yeah, Nike, Adidas, they're not going anywhere.
Nope. And new players are popping up all the time. Skechers needs to stay sharp to keep its edge.
And consumer tastes are constantly changing. That's a tough one to keep up with.
It is. Trends come and go so fast, Skechers has to anticipate those shifts and adapt its products.
So it's a constant evolution.
Exactly. That's where their commitment to innovation comes in. They've got to stay ahead of the curve, experiment, come up with new ideas that excite people.
So overall, what's your take on their growth strategy? Are they doing the right things?
I think they're finding a good balance between playing it safe and taking risks.
Okay.
They're expanding, but they're being strategic about it. They're leveraging their strengths, building on their successes.
Sounds like a solid plan.
It is. They're not just chasing fads. They're building a sustainable business for the long haul.
That's the key, right? Long-term vision.
Absolutely. Skechers is a company to watch, that's for sure. They've got the momentum, they're making smart moves, and they're not afraid to take a few chances.
All right, folks, that wraps up part 2 of our deep dive into Skechers Q4 2024 earnings call. We've covered a lot of ground, but we're not done yet. In part 3, we'll be tackling some listener questions and maybe even tossing around some potential investment scenarios, so stay tuned. And we're back with part 3 of Talk Ticker's deep dive into Skechers. We've crunched the numbers, we've analyzed their strategy, but now the big question, what does it all mean for you, the investor?
Right. And we've got some great questions from our listeners.
Oh yeah, they're definitely keeping us on our toes.
For sure. So first up, we have Sarah from Seattle.
Hey, Sarah.
She asks, with Skechers pushing into performance wear, will their marketing shift away from comfort and lifestyle?
Good question, Sarah. I mean, it makes sense to wonder that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Skechers has to walk a tightrope,
Right.
appeal to those serious athletes without alienating their core customer base, the comfort seekers,
Right? So how do they do that?
Well, I think we'll see a more targeted approach with their marketing, like different campaigns for different segments.
Okay, so kind of segmenting their audience.
Exactly. They could highlight the performance aspects, the tech specs when they're talking to athletes, but then with everyday consumers, they can still emphasize comfort, style, that kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of a best of both worlds situation.
Right. Okay, next question comes from Mark in Miami.
What's up, Mark?
He asks, how will those new U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods actually affect Skechers? Mark, you're not alone in wondering that.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. It's a big unknown for their 2025 outlook, that's for sure. I mean, those tariffs, they could really mess things up,
In what way?
Supply chain disruptions, increased costs, potentially lower profits. It's not good.
Yeah, not ideal.
But Skechers, they're doing what they can. They're exploring, moving some production, they're negotiating with vendors, and they haven't ruled out raising prices.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So it's a waiting game at this point. But their proactive approach, that gives me some hope.
Yeah, fingers crossed. All right, so let's shift gears a bit and put on our investor hats, shall we?
Let's do it.
If you were advising someone on Skechers stock, what are the key factors they should be thinking about?
Okay, first and foremost, their track record. They've been growing consistently, they're profitable, they're exceeding expectations.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah, especially in an industry as, established as footwear.
It's not easy to stand out.
No, it's not, but they are. And their commitment to innovation, that's huge. Both in terms of their products and their approach to retail, those comfort technologies, the direct-to-consumer push, those are big deals.
Game changers, for
Yeah.
sure. And their global reach, that's impressive too, right?
Absolutely. They're a global brand. They're recognized all over the world.
But we can't sugarcoat things. There are risks too.
Of course, always risks.
Like what?
The tariffs, for one, the slowdown in China, and let's not forget about competition. It's fierce in this industry.
Yeah, all valid points. But overall, do you think Skechers' strengths outweigh those risks?
I think they do. They've got a strong brand, they've got innovative products, they're making smart investments, and they've got a strong leadership team. So, yeah, I'm optimistic.
Okay, so we've covered the fundamentals, we've looked at the strategy, we've weighed the risks. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, it's time for This Is Not Financial Advice.
My favorite part.
I know, right? So I was thinking, what if Skechers went all in on a signature athlete collab, like really tapped into that whole sneakerhead culture?
Oh, interesting.
But if they teamed up with Joel Embiid, created a limited edition sneaker line, incorporated their comfort technology, and then boom, they drop it during the NBA playoffs.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Exclusive drops, influencer marketing, maybe even a charity tie-in. The possibilities are endless. They could create a real buzz, generate tons of hype, and bring in a whole new customer base.
I mean, it's a bold move for sure, but yeah, it could definitely work.
It could be huge. And, Skechers has shown that they're not afraid to take risks.
That's true. They're not afraid to push the boundaries.
But of course, this is just a thought experiment, folks.
Definitely not financial advice.
No. This is just us having a little fun speculating a bit.
Always good to think outside the box, right?
Exactly. So who knows what Skechers will actually do in 2025, but one thing's for sure, it's going to be interesting to watch.
Absolutely. They're a company on the move.
Well, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into Skechers Q4 2024 earnings call. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you learned something and maybe even got a wild trade idea or two.
Just remember, do your own research, talk to a financial advisor, and invest responsibly.
Sound advice. Until next time, happy investing, everyone.